What's going on, everyone? So, Scream 7 is supposed to be a Sydney-led film once again, and the focus seems to be on Sydney Prescott and her family, and you know, burning down the past is something that Ghostface makes very apparent, right? Like, hey, I want to tear it all down, right? So, keep that in the back of your mind as we kind of progress into this video. So, another big thing that is linked in the trailer or is relayed in the trailer is they try to make the connection that it's somebody from the past, that it's that you have the Stu Sprinkles in the trailer. You also have like Dewey Riley's voice in the trailer, and then on top of that, Ghostface says something very specific, right? Ghostface says, you know talks about Sydney's daughter and says, reminds me of where we grew up, right? Talking about the two of them, like where we grew up. And it would immediately lead you to think that, okay, this is somebody from the past because they grew up with Sydney. Like them and Sydney grew up together. They have that connection, they have that tie in. And this is probably some like revenge motive or some revenge factor or something along those lines, right? But what if it's not? Right? Like you have in this upcoming Scream 7, right? Like I said, the connection in very specific, like, hey, I want to burn it all down and where we grew up. And then you happen to see the Stu Macher's house and Stu Macher's house being burnt down by Ghostface, right? Well, what if the killer is somebody from Woodsboro? And it's not somebody that grew up with Sydney, but in fact grew up where Sydney grew up, and they grew up where we grew up, right? Like if I grew up, I was born and raised in California. If you're somebody that, grew up in California also, you might be younger than me, you might be older than me, but we both grew up where we grew up in California, right? Like we're from the same town or whatever, city or whatever, right? Like, so what if that is what it is? And you see something very specific, right? The opening scene. The opening scene, Stu Macher's house has now become an Airbnb, and it's like this attraction, and it's kind of they've kind of played into the gimmicks that is Ghostface and stuff, right? You see the chalk drawings and little plaques all over the wall and all that stuff. Okay, well, what if Ghostface wants to burn it down because of what Woodsboro has become? And they see the Airbnb and just all the what Woodsboro went from this nice little small town to this essential amusement park, and it's destroyed the town, it's destroyed the families, right? Like it's become this mess. And that person thinks like, hey, you know how to get rid of this? Get rid of Sydney. Take out Sydney Prescott, right? Make Sydney pay. If I tear it all down, if I burn it all down, like look at what Woodsboro has become. It's become an absolute mess. It has become an absolute nightmare. It has become an absolute disaster. Like things have become an amusement park and all this stuff and blah 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 blah. Right? Like, and but to me, it's like, you know, it would make sense that if you grew up in a town and you had this particular way of what your family went through and the memories and the photo albums and all of these things, and now your mom's a wreck or the dad's a wreck, or Woodsboro has just become an absolute dump because of tourists and all this stuff, and it's just this place that you loved and you grew up with and you remember some of the memories and all that stuff, and then in the end it's like, okay, enough's enough. I'm just going to burn it all down. I'm going to tear it apart piece by piece, inch by inch, brick by brick. All of this is coming down, right? I'm burning this Stu Macher's house because look at this. It's become pathetic at this point. It's become an absolute mess. Like, this place is an amusement park. This isn't anything. It's an Airbnb now. They have animatronics. They have, chalk stains on the floors, right? Like, This was at one point historical. This was a place. This was a memory, right? Like, and they just want to kind of get back to the town that there was. And why wouldn't you blame Sydney? Right? Like, because of you, all of this has happened. Because of you and your mother. You were the patient zero, right? You were the disease that destroyed the town of Woodsboro. You were the disease that brought everything down into its knees. And, now I'm here and I show up and look at this. This is ridiculous. Like the house that was this almost monument is now just pointless. Right? It needs to burn down. And, again, you can't explain crazy. Like almost all of these motives have been ridiculous, right? All these motives have just been silly, and most of them are kind of in that sense, right? Like, it's either an obsession route or, they blame Sydney for something that it's like Sydney has nothing to do with that, right? Like, so what? Like, Mrs. Loomis's whole thing is like, even Sydney calls out how ridiculous it is. It's like, you're the one that abandoned him. Like, like, I have nothing to do with my mother, sleeping with your husband. Like, it wasn't like I was like, oh, hey, it'd be a great idea. Like, like what? I was supposed to just let your son murder me? Like, after he murdered all my friends? Like, you're crazy. Like, it's ridiculous. But, like, something like this could make sense, right? Like, it's the town you love. It's kind of the, I know what you did last summer motive, right? With Ray. It's like, they're rebuilding the, spoilers. They're rebuilding the whole town and putting all the money into it and blah, 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 blah. And they're trying to make us forget. Like, this is something where I think it'd kind of be the opposite, where it's like, no, Ghostface is trying to make people forget. Like, Ghostface is hoping, like, after 30 years, the town became a dump. Right? The town became it became a joke. Right? So if I get rid of Sydney, and that becomes maybe in 30 years, now the town gets back to being normal, and people move off of all this noise and all the all the animatronics and the Airbnbs and stuff like that. Maybe we can get off of that. And I take out Sydney, this will all go away eventually. It might take some time, might take some years, might whatever. But if I take out her and her daughters and her family and all that stuff, well, then now there's nothing left for these people to celebrate or remember or talk about. Right now we can get off the movies. Now we can get off all this noise. Now we can get off all this nonsense. Like there is some level of hey, that makes some sense, right? Like that there is some level of like, hey, that's actually like you could see it. And it would tie into like what is said in the trailer. Right? They want to burn it all down. Like, it's like, well, why? Why would they want to burn it all down? Right? Why would they want to destroy this place? Why do they want to go after Sydney? Right? You need a reasoning behind it. It's just like, oh, hey, you know what? It's Thursday, so I just thought I'd try to kill Sydney Prescott today. Like, like there's got to be some logic behind it. Okay, well, what's the logic? Well, it's like, hey, what if it's just, hey, the town that I love, the town that I grew up in, I remember a time where it was this beautiful place and it was this just great area and all this stuff. And then you came in and you ruined it. So, it makes sense. It makes sense why they'd burn it down, why they'd tear it to the ground. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Past question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea? Do you hate the idea? Kind of mixed in the middle. Either way, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you even like this video, hit that like button. Else, not, it's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.